Welcome back to the Frozen Forum podcast. This is episode 17. Can you believe that? 17 weeks in, here we are, off to, we're going to be talking about a good week for the Habs, which is pretty uncommon. Alex?
What is this? You said it was our third time doing a podcast this year, where we won the majority of games that we're talking about in the podcast. 2-1. Patrick Laine scoring goals. Like, what more can you ask for, man?
This is what we love to see right now. Patrick Laine, Monty's playing pretty solid. I mean, we're going to talk about it this whole episode. Yeah, man. But first things first, we got to hear the 3 stars of the week.
Okay, so I didn't want to put him up there last week. Patrick Laine definitely gets up there this week. Like
Which
100%. I'm gonna put him first. You know what? Let's do it. He scored 2 goals in the 3 games that we watched. Effective player all around the ice. He gets the assist on the second goal in that game on Monday. I put him first. I want to put Lane Hutson second. I'm putting this guy on these 3 stars of the week so many times, but I have really good reasons for it this week, right? Did you know that Lane Hutson is the first ever Montreal Canadiens player to have a 7-game point streak or more as a rookie?
Yes, I saw that stat. That's absolutely incredible. And they're all assists, too. When is he going to get his goal?
Hey, look. The thing I've always said about this, right? You can get assists until you can't get assists anymore, and that's when you have to start scoring, right? When the defense and the goaltender starts playing as if you can't shoot, that's when you're going to start scoring. They're still playing him like he can shoot. And so as long as they're doing that, and seams are opening up and other people are free, look, it's a team sport, man, right? This is hockey is not I scored 4 goals, and again, it's not. I mean, it is for Patrick Laine, but it's not for the rest of the team.
But I also got to say, I think this guy has damn near as many posts as he does assists this season, because I swear he's been so close so many times.
He has been, but that's the whole thing, right? As long as he's still dangerous, he doesn't have to stop passing, right? Because the people respect him. And they should, because he's scary. Man, watching him skate, it's so nice. Having him and Laine on the power play.
It was so nice we actually got to see him play in person too, at least once this season. So, yeah. Who do you have on your third star though? Because I had a full 3 stars. I agree with the Laine.
Well, what do you have? What do you have for third?
Laine, Montembeault second. He records 2 wins this week. One of them being a shutout against the Predators. I know the Predators. I know the Predators aren't great, but it's still a shutout. We'll take it. And third, I still put Suzuki. Suzuki's the 3rd star. He has been leading us so well. He's been playing. I haven't seen him play bad shift. He's doing so well out there.
He is. I'm trying to think if there's anybody else that I've really thought had a good week. I think Doc is getting better. He's definitely not anywhere close to these 3 stars, but he's getting better. I thought Slafkovsky had not a bad week either. Obviously, he gets an assist on that Laine, or assist on that Doc goal, because Doc scored. He scored against Washington. I don't remember.
No, he scored against Anaheim.
Yeah, okay. I thought Doc had a good week too, and is getting better. Again, this is one of those things where when you have a player that was injured for an entire season, it's going to take him a while to come back, right? And to look himself. I've seen Doc try to make some moves through the neutral zone, break into the zone a few times to handle in the puck. That's good. Slafkovsky's trying to be harder on the puck. We can talk about him this in this podcast as well at some point, because a lot of people are having a lot of issues with how he's playing hockey right now. But I don't think there's too much cause for concern. But maybe we can talk about that later.
Yeah, no, I think very solid. I know we're not running through the games anymore, but do we want to talk about individual players then? How we thought players were playing this week?
We can. The one thing I want to say is it is remarkable how much better this team makes you feel when they're playing good versus when they're playing bad. All 3 of these games, like the Washington game, yeah, okay, the 3rd period was whatever. But the first 2 periods against Washington, even in the 3rd period, we had 4 breakaways?
Yeah. It was breakaway after breakaway after breakaway.
It's so exciting, right? When we're playing good hockey, we're playing, it's exciting. I wanted to ask you about this, right? Do you think that having Patrick Laine come back into the lineup was just the little spark that the rest of the team needed to actually kick it back into gear?
Yes. I've been saying this. I was saying like he's that missing piece to the puzzle that we needed. That is what really we had the gas going. He was just the flint to get us just light it up. You know what I mean?
Well,
Like since
the
he's been
reason I
back,
ask, yeah, go
he's been back, what we're 3-4.
3-4, 3-4, and he's 3-4.
Yes, he is. So keep it going to 4-5, 5-6. Just keep it going, or he can
Yeah.
match the numbers if he wants. Tomorrow he can
What
make.
do you think? 20 games from now, he'll be tied for first in the league in goals.
20 games. Yeah, he's on pace to do that right now. I agree with that. Yeah, he's gonna get 2 tomorrow night. Just watch that against the
Yeah.
Penguins.
Come on! Against the Penguins. The Penguins are playing tonight too, aren't they?
No, the Penguins don't play tonight.
No, they don't play tonight. No, but even if they don't, it's the Penguins.
Yeah, I'm the only person I'm scared of on the Penguins is Sidney Crosby because for some reason he just owns the Canadiens his whole life.
Look, I think the thing with Sidney Crosby is like he's going to play against Nick Suzuki, and so guess who Patrick Laine does not have to play against?
Yeah, that's fair.
Look, before we get into more of the players, let's run through our what is this, third or fourth time through the Frozen Forum Flash.
Yes,
I got you 10 questions, Nathan Costa. We're going to go through them fairly rapid fire. Hopefully you've done the research I've asked you to do in the last week, because if you haven't, then one of the questions might be a little difficult to answer. But let's get into it. Cool?
Yep, sounds good.
Awesome. Starting the Forum Frozen Flash now. On the side of the Montreal Canadiens, right now, Lane Hutson, as we mentioned, has the longest point streak of any rookie player on a team with 150-year history. The longest in the NHL. Should he be a favorite for the Calder, or is it just going to go to Michkov because he's a forward?
Unfortunately, this one is going to go to Michkov. I mean, I think Michkov is having more of a contribution to his team than Hutson is to ours. Not to say that Hutson isn't, but Michkov is getting he is on a third or half of the points for the Flyers, which is actually nuts. I just watched one of the games the other day, and I mean, I think he had a goal and an assist, and I think they won 4-2. So, I mean, they're giving it to Michkov. He's a forward.
Fair enough. And look, Michkov's on my fantasy hockey team. So is Laine. So either one of them, as long as they keep competing for it, I'm very happy. Going on to question number 2, Arbor Jacki, in an interview either today or yesterday, said that his goal right now is to just blend in on defense. Do you think it's possible for a 6'4", 240-pound fighter to blend in on a hockey team?
I understand what he's trying to do with that, but I just don't think that's going to work for him right now. I mean, he's the enforcer. That's why we have him on the team. I mean, I was watching the Spit Chicklets podcast last week, and it was the episode with him on, and his whole shtick right from Junior B going into the OHL was he fought a guy in the Junior B All-Star game, then did the same thing in the OHL to get to the NHL. And he does the same thing in the NHL. He's known for being an enforcer. I don't know how he's just going to try and blend in. That's what he's been known for his whole life. But I like his mindset. I like the mindset.
You like the mindset, eh? Well, we'll go on to question 3 then. Caden Primo. I've got a question for you on Primo, but before that, I want to preface this by saying Samuel Montembeault is confirmed to be starting against the Pittsburgh Penguins in tomorrow's game. Given that, how useless is Caden Primo?
I mean, okay, 2-1 over the last week, and guess how many games Primo played? 0. And the game that we lost against the Capitals, I don't know, Tom Wilson turned into a Super Saiyan after he got a puck to the face. So we'll let that one slide, but how useless is Primo? He should be in the AHL. I'm sorry, Caden Primo, but we need another goalie.
I agree. Very well said, Nathan DaCosta. Let's go into question number 4. The Habs right now are 5 points out of a playoff spot. They are also simultaneously 5th last in the NHL. Are we in the mix, or have we not progressed at all considering we finished 5th last in the NHL last year?
No, we're still in the mix. Okay, we had a little bit of a weaker start, and we had a harder schedule towards the beginning of the season. Now, as we talked about at the end of last episode, we do have a pretty easy couple of weeks coming up. So we need to get these wins in. If we can get the wins in games that we should be getting wins, we will be in the mix. And as we gain that confidence going through those games, I believe it'll carry forward to when we play the good teams, and we'll be in the playoffs, baby.
Beautiful. I love to hear it because, look, that'd be very exciting if in our first year of the podcast we get to talk about the playoffs too. Let's go into question 5. The Habs have not won 3 hockey games in a row this entire season. Why do you think that is the case?
Well, we definitely could have done it at the beginning of the season. We had plenty of chances to, but for some reason, Marty St. Louis decided to change the lines up. Every period seemed like it was every game for like the first 15 games, and there were opportunities, not very many, but we had won 2 games in a row twice where we could have won one of the other 2 games, and we just didn't because lane lines were changing up. The chemistry wasn't fully set, but now he has kept those lines, which I like seeing, and as we can see, I mean, we're winning games.
And we're staying competitive in the ones that we don't win.
Yes.
Let's go right into the NHL series of questions. 5 questions on the NHL. Michael Andlauer, the owner of the Ottawa Senators, made comments about not liking the fact that Brady Tkachuk's name was in trade rumors, considering that the Ottawa Senators right now are only 1 point ahead of the Montreal Canadiens in the standings, but have been rebuilding for 3 years more than we have. Should they trade Brady Tkachuk?
I didn't even know they were only 1 point ahead of us. That's a tough one because honestly, I still see Brady as that enforcer guy too. I don't necessarily see him as a leader. I think it could be a good decision for the Senators to free up some cap space and get some other players instead of Brady Tkachuk. He's a skilled guy, but I don't know. They've been rebuilding for quite some time. I think it might be time for something to change up.
Might be time indeed, and maybe they'll trade him for Marner or something. That'd be pretty funny as a side note. But let's go right into question 7. Is there a bigger disappointment in the NHL right now than the New York Rangers, considering what we expected out of that team at the beginning of the season?
That I don't even know what to say. Like, it's just humiliating for them right now. They lost to the Chicago Blackhawks, and if I'm not mistaken, they're third or second last, maybe last in the league. I don't
Chicago
know.
second last. Yep.
Second last in the league. They lost 2-1 at home to the Chicago Blackhawks. They're playing Buffalo right now. I'm looking at the score. It's 2-0, which it's Buffalo. You better win that game. But yeah, I mean,
another team that's been rebuilding a little too long.
yeah. Yeah, the New York Rangers, just sad for them. I feel a little bit bad for the fans, but not too bad.
Fair enough. All right, let's go to question 3, or question 8, I suppose. Speaking about the New York Rangers, Jacob Trouba gets traded to the Anaheim Ducks. The question for you, Mr. DaCosta, did Trouba go to the Ducks just so that he could play us on Monday night to get back at Josh Anderson for that fight?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he had some say in the trade there. Yeah, he was just trying to make sure that he could go round 2. He wants that second round just to stand up for himself again. But no, I was actually watching the interview of him after he got traded, and he was talking about how it's just a ritual for all New York captains to get randomly traded midseason, which is tough. But I mean, you had no goals. He literally had 0 goals, which I mean, for a captain, that's just inexcusable, especially when it's the New York Rangers.
It is inexcusable. He gets traded. Now, in that whole thing leading up to the trade, this is going into question 9 right here. For the people who weren't paying attention, Trouba did have a no-trade clause in his contract. And a no-trade clause means that you can't get traded unless you sign off on it. Now, what he didn't have as of the start of this season was a no-movement clause. And a no-movement clause basically says that they can't move you off the NHL team. Well, why does that matter? Well, because he was so bad, they were considering waiving him, basically sending him down to the minors, in which case, whichever team they were dealing with could just pick him up on waivers and basically go around the no-trade clause. So, your question to you, Nathan DaCosta, is it fair or ethical to threaten a player with waiving them in order to get them to approve a trade to another team?
Yeah, I think it's fine. I mean, it's the NHL. It's a professional organization, and I mean, you're getting paid millions of dollars to perform at the highest level of hockey, and if there are 10, 11, 12 guys who are ready to step in, take your place, who are much better than you, then yes. Jacob Trouba was presented this, like, hey, you're either going to the Ducks or you're getting scratched. So obviously he wants to stay in the NHL. He doesn't have another option. I think it's completely fair. I don't really feel bad. You've got to step it up. It's been 20 games.
That it has been, and it didn't end up happening. He did end up saying yes to a trade, but it was an interesting thought experiment nonetheless. My final question for you to wrap up this week's Frozen Forum Flash is Mackenzie Blackwood, who just got traded from the San Jose Sharks to the Colorado Avalanche, the solution for Colorado? Or is this season just going to be written off down the drain.
No, I could actually see Mackenzie Blackwood being that spark for the Avalanche like Laine is for us right now. Obviously the biggest issue in Colorado was their goaltending. There was a little bit of hope with Justice Anunin. He played really well for a few games there, and then I don't know what happened. And then who was the other goalie again?
Georgiev.
Yeah, Georgiev. Georgiev just has not been playing well all season. So yeah, I mean, I think having a goalie like Blackwood in, especially, I mean, he was on the Sharks and they were losing, so he just doesn't look good because it's the Sharks. But he is actually a good goalie. So I think that's the spark they need.
I like it. That wraps up our Frozen Forum Flash. I hope you liked it this week, Nathan Costa. I have, before we go into Montreal Canadiens talk, let's switch things up a little bit here. I read a story that I think is definitely something we need to talk about on this podcast. This week, maybe last week, I'm not 100% sure on timing actually here. The Buffalo Sabres general manager, I think it's Kevin Adams still, maybe I could be wrong, came out and said, yeah, we don't look very good as a team, but at the end of the day, the Buffalo Sabres, are not that attractive of a place to play, right? We have high taxes and we don't have palm trees. I don't know if you saw this, but the last game the Buffalo Sabres played, I don't know if it was yesterday or the day before, fans brought inflatable palm trees into the stadium.
I did not see that. That's good. I was thinking about going to that game too. That would have been so funny.
It's so funny, right? But I read the title of the article I read was fans bring inflatable palm trees, and I'm like, what? like is there a beach day? You know how the arenas, they have events and stuff that they put on or whatever. It's like, what, it could be whatever. No, we're here gonna mock the general manager. Would you play for Buffalo? I mean, here's do you think that's actually a concern for Buffalo that they can't attract people?
No, I really don't. I mean, if I know one thing about Buffalo, just from going to a few Bills games now, they have a dedicated, loyal fan base. And I mean, obviously the fans are going to be a little bit more loyal to you when you're a good team. I mean, when the Sabres, in the late 90s, when the Sabres had a really solid team, my dad and his friends would go to those games and they would always be sold out. They actually went to the Stanley Cup final where they lost to Dallas, that controversial call. But yeah, during that point in time, I mean, Buffalo fans it's like a cult over there. So Buffalo does not have difficulty attracting its fan base. Are you saying attracting players?
Players as well. That was the big thing that Adams was trying to say, right? High taxes and you have to live in Buffalo. I don't know.
Yeah, for the players, I could see that perspective.
Now, here's the better question, right? If you built a competitive team, right, that played in the North Pole, right, would people want to be on that team if it was a super competitive team racing for the Stanley Cup final, right? I think the answer is yes, right? Even if it's in the middle of nowhere, it's the worst place to ever live possible. People sign in Winnipeg all the time, right? But I think my point that I'm trying to make here is if Buffalo could actually do some good roster management. I mean, look at the players that they've traded in the last whatever number of years. Sam Reinhart's leading the league in goals right now. Right? Who? Is he over him as of yet? I checked these stats the other day.
Yeah, Draisaitl got 20 yesterday.
No, Draisaitl got 20. Sure, Sam Reinhart.
Sam Reinhart's up there.
Second.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, who else has Buffalo traded in the last few years?
They had a lot of good players.
They had a lot, right? I mean, again, Jack Eichel's not on this team anymore. Which, what a way to waste a second overall pick. Sorry. If I'm not mistaken, who's the guy on Calgary that used to be on?
Anderson?
I think it might have been Rasmus Anderson. I could be wrong. But yeah, the point being, there are a lot of them out there that they've all traded or have somehow ended up not on the Buffalo Sabres. The team just doesn't have good roster management and hasn't for 13 years. If they were competitive, I feel like people would want to play for them, no?
Mm-hmm. 100%, I agree. I mean, that game, oh my god. I don't know if you were watching the score, but Buffalo was up on the Avalanche by 4 goals, and then just an absolute meltdown to lose the game in regulation. I think in the third period. I think they lost the entire game in the third period. It's just humiliating to be a Sabres fan right now. Sorry.
I mean, it's been humiliating for like they haven't made the freaking playoff. I saw something here. There's like there's so many posts I keep seeing that's like, have you made the playoffs since the invention of the iPhone 6? It's like Buffalo, nope. All of the rest of the teams, yes. It's like things like that, right?
Yep. Yeah, that's ridiculous. Damn. Buffalo, feel a bit bad for you, but you got to figure it out there. Another team is the Predators. My God, what?
Hey, at least they're trying. Okay, here's what I'll say. They signed Stamkos, they signed Marchessault, right? They're trying.
They're trying.
Did it work? Nah. But they tried. Like, what's Buffalo done?
They got rid of Eichel for I don't even remember who they got for it.
I mean, they got Alex Tuch, who hasn't scored a goal in like 17 games on my fantasy team, but it's how it goes. As a side note, you know how we were talking before the podcast about how all of my Sabres players on my team weren't going to score today, and you said some random player is going to score, and I'm not going to get any points. Owen Power scored. Guess who's not on my fantasy team? Guess who is on my fantasy team? Igor Shesterkin, who now doesn't have a shutout because of it. No, there you go. Tage Thompson just scores. There you go. I don't have him either.
Really? Wow. Imagine New York collapses to Buffalo. That'd be.
37 seconds left in this game. I'll say if they figure out a way to come back in 37 seconds,
Let's go Buffalo.
I mean, who do you trade then? You trade
like now? God, you trade Peterka and try and get something for him.
No, I mean on the Rangers side of things.
On the Rangers, if the Rangers lose this game, you trade.
You trade like Kreider.
You pull a Denver Broncos and then just trade Shesterkin right after you paid him a massive contract.
Yeah, let's talk about that. Hey, $11.5 million. That's what it came out to, right?
Yeah, what was it like? 90-something million for 8 years or something?
Yeah, it was a lot. Beats Carey Price's contract, but doesn't actually, right? Because like on a percentage of the cap basis, this is a lower percentage of the cap than Carey Price got. For good reason, because Carey Price is better goaltender.
Yeah, you want to see that on TSN? This does not beat Carey Price's signing because it's a lower percentage of the cap.
No, but in all reality, like that's how that's how you can compare it across the eras, right? The real question is how much of the cap is Connor McDavid going to get, and that's a whole other issue, which we've already talked about a few times on this podcast. But no, I mean he's locked up. He hasn't been that good. Like I really don't. I don't know. I don't believe in him. Like I don't know if I believe in Igor Shesterkin. He's like the 5th best goaltender in fantasy right now. Like he can't be that good.
Yeah, he's all of a sudden garbage. No, but honestly, yeah, I mean this entire something's got to change. I mean it's what like 28 games in for them now, and he's just not.
Yeah, they do beat Buffalo as a side note. I did get an assist with JJ Peterka. There you go.
There you go.
My ads did something. Which is always good.
Yep. So yeah, the Predators, they're trying. Sabres, who knows what the Sabres doing? The Canadiens, the Montreal.
Les Canadiens de Montréal.
Yes.
Man, like I'm telling you, Nathan, like I did not have, other than the Washington game, I don't think I was ever bored watching these games this week. And like even the Washington game, like it hurt getting scored against in that third period. But we're still playing, still competing, still trying. Again, we get 4 breakaways, which like props to Logan Thompson, who is not a Team Canada goaltender. Monty didn't play as well as he needed to, because he is a Team Canada goaltender, and so he doesn't, have to show off anymore. Yeah, I thought it was just a really good week all around. I think these lines look so good.
Mm-hmm. Our lines look good. I mean, we start off the week with Jake Evans' shorthanded goal. I mean, I don't know if you saw that one, but that was amazing. That's just an incredible start to the week.
Exhilarating.
Yeah.
If I might add.
Yeah. And then let's talk about Laine's goals. I mean, that first one he gets, we were talking about it.
I cannot express the amount of time that I've wasted in the last week just watching slow motion replays of this guy shoot the puck.
I know.
Yeah, sorry, that goal, the last one he scored on Monday against the Ducks, that's all Suzuki. Like that goal, which I love, by the way, because we've missed Nick Suzuki. This used to be Nick Suzuki's bread and butter. He looks like he's gonna shoot. He looks like he's gonna shoot. Pass it over to the left side, right? Like, he does it so well. And the best part, this goes back, again, this theme keeps coming up in our conversations, Nathan. The thing I really believe is that the key to being good at hockey in the NHL is having everybody be dangerous, right? The thing with Nick Suzuki coming down on that right side, looking like he's going to shoot the puck, he scored like 12 goals from that spot doing exactly that last year, right? He simultaneously got 20 goals for like Cole Caulfield, who was out on that left side, just slap-shotting it in the empty net because everybody thought Suzuki was going to shoot. Is there a player that does it better than him? Like the whole stealth, like pretend I'm going to do one thing and do another?
No, and he's so subtle with it too. Like, I mean, he's also smooth. Like, when I'm watching him on TV, like, the thing is, on TV, like, you can notice when guys intentionally fake. Like, Cale Makar, you can tell on TV when he's going to fake, but he's just so damn fast that he gets away with it every time. But Nick Suzuki, I cannot tell where he's going with the puck. Like,
Ever.
I legitimately can't tell where he's going with the puck.
No, it's pretty cool. And I mean, like Patrick Laine, again, you can make good plays to make assists, right? They don't count for anything if the people that you pass the puck to can't put it in the back of the net. I don't think anybody in Habs land is worried about whether or not Patrick Laine is going to be able to put it in the back of the net. Like, I haven't seen him fan on anything that's like real. The guy's shooting from the randomest places on the ice, which is fantastic because there have been some rebounds and there have been some like other things that could maybe be turned into things.
So we need just some meatball that a goalie leaves off a rebound. That's what's going to happen. I mean, his second goal this week was the one against Anaheim. It wasn't an outstanding shot. Just like you said, it was Suzuki. But I mean, the Predators, my God, he freaking picked that thing.
But he put it like again, like this slap shot, like he put it on net where he had to put it, right? It's not Yoel Armia who is fanning on freaking shot, right? It's not Mike Matheson who's gonna pass it into some player's shin pads, Like that's just you know what I mean? Like you need players to be able to capitalize, and just so good at it. That goal against who was it? I don't even know who we played this week.
Predators was the first one.
Yeah. That goal, holy
insane. Just ridiculous. He picks that damn corner so nice. Right over the goalie's blocker, I guess.
Goalie's looking at him.
Yeah. Insane. Just directly at him, no screen.
It was on a 5-on-3, right?
Yeah, it was 5-on-3. So he walked
Okay,
in.
so that 5-on-3 was not good at all.
Yeah, because
nothing was happening.
Suzuki like saves it. It almost gets out of the zone, right?
Yeah. Well, that too. But no, I was gonna say like the whole 5-on-3 before that sequence was terrible. No passing. Nobody was getting like they were like passing it around the outside. Nothing was happening. Whatever. Patrick Laine gets the puck back, and you can see him when he has this puck. He's looking at the goaltender, square on. Goaltender's looking at him. There's no screen, and Laine goes, yeah, on a 5-on-3, it's a lot easier to score a goal when you pass the puck. Nothing's really been happening when I pass the puck. Let's just shoot it. And he just rips it. Can you learn how to do that, please? Because like we've got one more round of intramural hockey next summer.
I'll work on it in France with you. Me and Nick will do some drills.
Perfect.
Yeah.
That's all I'm asking for. All I'm asking for. Just don't do it with the soccer ball, because it's not very convertible.
I'll work on it for you. But yeah, we have Laine do that. I mean, let's look at the other notable things that we got this week from the Habs. We obviously shut that game out against the Preds 3-0. Love that.
Man, I saw a stat. I saw a crazy stat. In the games that we've won this season, in the games that he's won specifically, I don't know if Primo has a win. Samuel Montembeault has a 9.78 save percentage or something like that. It's something stupid high. Stupid high. In the games that he's lost, he has like an 8.57. And in the games that Caden Primo has played, Caden Primo has an 8.40. It's like lower than the games that Samuel Montembeault has lost. This is not... Sorry, first of all, it's not sustainable for a whole season, right? Like you cannot only win games when your goaltender is playing at a 9.7 something, right? I think that'll change with Laine coming in, because we'll be able to win a game when Sam lets in 4 goals. We're going to win 5-4 every once in a while, because we can score 5 goals, because we actually have lines that are working well. But like that 9.7, like it's crazy.
I don't even think we should fully rely on Montembeault. We need a second goalie. Montembeault can't play every damn game. And I don't want Primo in net again at all this season. We need another goalie.
There are rumors that we're out in the market for right shot defenseman. They're looking for
Nathan Costa? Oh, okay. Yeah. I think it's not me right now. I'll be there tomorrow for the game if you need.
Something tells me you don't fit the height requirement for what they're looking for.
That's fine. I'll just be the opposite of Arbor I'll just be the little guy on the ice.
Yeah, they already have one of those guys, though.
That's true.
They have a Nathan DaCosta-sized human, and his name is Lane Hutson, and he's amazing.
And he hits the net.
And he's the posts. I don't know if they count in the net. I don't think they count them as shots on goal.
At least I get field goals. He gets posts close.
So. Yeah. But no, in all seriousness, I mean, the kind of player we're looking for is a guy like Evan Bouchard, right? Now, will you be able to trade for Evan Bouchard? No. Good luck.
Caden Primo for Evan Bouchard, 1-for-1?
1-for-1. They need goaltending. Maybe. I don't even know. Have they figured out goaltending in that city?
Still Stuart Skinner.
Is it? Man, he's not that good.
He just has a nice mustache, and everyone in Edmonton loves it. That's it. That's
those Edmontonians, eh? They like their mustaches.
I don't know. We'll assume they talk like that. What I wanted to talk to you, this is not hockey related. You can cut this out if you want. But did you see that 13% of Canadians want Canada to be the 51st state of the USA?
Yo, we're keeping this in the podcast. This is the funniest thing I've ever paid attention to. Look. First of all, there is no world in which this would ever happen. And everybody who has any sense of a brain knows that this would never happen. It especially wouldn't happen under a Republican president, because you'll never believe what Canada as a state would vote for in a U.S. election. Fun fact, it's not going to be for the Republicans. So, adding Canada doesn't even make sense in terms of, gerrymandering and stuff. If anything, we should steal California and, Oregon and all that kind of stuff. They're more well-aligned with Canadian views than the rest of the country.
So we just change the map. The whole West Coast is just Canada?
Yeah. Okay. What other country looks like that? You know how, like Italy has, the boot in its... No. Is it Italy that's...
Chile kind of looks like that. I think it runs down the side.
Yeah, it runs down the coast.
Yeah.
But Chile doesn't have a big thing hanging off the other end of it.
No.
I did see a proposed map that gave us California, that whole west side of the U.S., and then gave the U.S. Alberta and Saskatchewan.
You can take Saskatchewan if you want. Actually, no. Saskatchewan is all of our lumber. We need Saskatchewan.
Yeah, I'm thinking we'll leave the politics for the politicians. But in terms of conceptual, it'd be nice to travel down to California and be like, hey, fellow Canadians.
Yeah.
It sounds so ridiculous when you say it, doesn't it? Oh, man, this whole thing, it was so funny when it came out. But people are taking it so seriously, too. So seriously. It's
the
hey,
governor
4 years.
Of Canada. The governor of Canada.
The governor of Canada comment was unhinged. How... It's incredibly disrespectful. Don't get me wrong. It is incredibly disrespectful to the country of Canada.
It was also embarrassing for the States. This is your leader saying this.
Which is why a lot of people don't want him to be president in the first place, among other reasons. What a crazy thing to say. I read a Toronto Star article today that was saying that, Trudeau, clapped back at Trump or whatever. And I read the whole article, and I didn't see anything in it that Trudeau said anything about Trump or anything like that. I was like, I don't know what this article is doing. So shout out to the Toronto Star for clickbaiting me this morning. No, it was funny.
Was it related to him saying Kamala's loss was a halt in the road for progressive women's rights or something?
Yeah, something like that. But it was like it's a fair point from Trudeau, right? But it's not talking really about Trump.
I know.
If anything, it's talking about how the Americans decided to elect Trump. But
he's going to be gone soon. Whatever. Let's get back to the hockey talk.
Let's get back to hockey, everybody. Where do you even segue from that, man?
We were talking about Edmonton. Let's talk about the Capitals, since we're talking about the U.S. and their capital, their president. Okay, so the U.S.
capital. Washington is... I don't know how they're doing it.
Yeah, neither do I. Without
this team on paper is not good.
Nope, not at all.
They're second in the league right now. Third in the league, but third in the league behind Winnipeg, only 2 points back of Winnipeg, and have 3 games in hand. So, like, from a points percentage perspective, they are second, only behind the Minnesota Wild.
And they don't even have Ovechkin. That is frightening.
Coming back maybe next week.
Who would have thought nobody had the Washington Capitals 2025 Stanley Cup champions on their bingo card? Imagine that would be.
No, it's not. Yeah, I don't think they're that good. I've actually really been thinking about this Rangers team. Look, I'm going to keep hating on what they're doing so far this season. The New York Rangers remind me a lot of that St. Louis Blues team in 2019. You know, that Blues team was like 5th or 6th last in the NHL before Christmas. And they just stormed back. And looking back, like, they had all of the pieces that you need. They had Binnington, who just had to heat up, right? We were talking about Igor Shesterkin needing to heat up. They had incredible defense, incredible offense that just hadn't been producing, right? I mean, I'll say the same about the Montreal Canadiens, but, like, obviously acknowledging that we're a much younger team and haven't been, doing all this kind of stuff. That the St. Louis Blues team had, Ryan O'Reilly, who hadn't been doing anything at the beginning of the season and picked it up. I mean, look at Artemi Panarin, look at Vincent Trocheck, look at Mika Zibanejad, right? Like, all of these players should be playing a lot better than they are right now. And even given that they haven't been playing good, they're still right now in a playoff spot.
They are?
Barely.
Wow. That is very surprising.
Yeah. They are only 6 points ahead of us, though. So, watch out. They're look, the NHL is trying to make the NHL more. I don't think I can use this as a word, but I'm going to say paritable. That is not a word. They're trying to bring parity to the league. And I'm going to invent a new word right here. Paritable. Like, I think it's working, all things considered.
Mm-hmm.
Like, when have we ever been this close? Like, we're literally last in the East. Like, last place in the Eastern Conference. If we had 2 more points, we would be 4 spots out of a playoff spot. If we had 5 more points, we'd be in a playoff spot.
I mean, it's doing its thing. It's working, which is excellent for us because we are going to get 3 wins this next week, aren't we?
Look, Winnipeg looked good at the beginning of the season. They've lost a lot of games since then. They're 4-6 in their last 10.
Yeah, I know. But
because that realistically, that's the only team that we theoretically shouldn't beat or have like a good chance at, right?
This upcoming week, on Saturday.
Yeah.
It's in Winnipeg, though. That's the thing that bothers me. Winnipeg always plays pretty solid at home.
Yeah, but, like, there's no white towels waving, right?
That's true. It's true.
That whiteout is a lot more, like, that's, man, I want to go to a game one day in Winnipeg to wave one of those white towels.
The whiteout game? Yeah, that'd be incredible.
Yeah, I'll do it in a Habs jersey, be the one red guy in the crowd, but I'll wave the white towel because the white towels look.
Hey, maybe in May. You just hop on a flare.
I ain't going to Winnipeg in May, man. Yeah, not this year.
All right, just saying it's a possibility. Straight from Waterloo.
It is a possibility. It'd be pretty funny.
Plot.
We should just drive there.
It's just a short little drive.
Road trip to Manitoba.
Just casual, nice and simple. Really.
Nice and casual. Well, what do we have coming up this week for us? We have Pittsburgh Thursday
in Montreal, and then Winnipeg Saturday in Winnipeg, and then Tuesday against the Buffalo Shitters at Montreal.
Man, Buffalo is the one team I swear I've never seen the Montreal Canadiens actually blow out the Buffalo Sabres. That last time we played them, just as a reminder for the people who don't remember, that last time we played them, that was the 7-5 game. It's like the only game this season we've scored more than 4 goals.
Also, every time I've seen the Buffalo Sabres and Canadiens play, both goalies play like crap and all the players play reasonably well, so it's a high-scoring game. Every single time.
I'm trying to check this. Have we actually not scored more than 4 goals any other game? No, we beat Columbus 5-1. Okay. That's fine. I do feel like we're coming close though. Like we need a game where we just score 6 goals just to get people on the score sheet, get some stats rolling. Ideally have some hat tricks for Patrick Laine and Lane Hutson.
And Cole Caulfield.
Yeah, and Cole Caulfield. As long as I'm not playing the guy who has Cole Caulfield in our fantasy hockey league.
And Nick Suzuki. And Mike Matheson if he really wants to.
No, not him. Not Mike Matheson, please. Because if he gets a hat trick, people are going to be, oh, Mike Matheson, such a good player, completely ignoring the fact that he's not. So that
he doesn't know how to play defense. Yeah, I see what you're saying.
He doesn't even know how to play offense, bro. I swear. The number of memes I've seen this year about, I'm a defenseman on the blue line. What should I do? A, pass it to the guy that's wide open on my left. B, pass it to the guy that's wide open on my right. C, shoot the puck into the shin pads of the defender standing right in front of me. And the answer is C. So that's what he does.
Yeah.
There's a reason that he's not on the first power play unit. I am so happy that they're back. Like they put him back on for a game back a while ago. Of course, we lost that game, but they put him back on with Patrick Laine. That power play unit is stacked. When's the last time we've had a power play unit that's stacked?
20.
Maybe.
But yeah,
who's even on that power play?
PK Subban, baby. That's why it's stacked.
Stack as a one guy man. Like I think that was back in the days when we would put PK Subban and Andrei Markov on the power play. Yeah, because you needed somebody to defend when PK Subban got caught up a little too high up in the zone. I will say I've had this conversation with a few people at work who all have been convinced by me to get Lane Hutson on their fantasy teams. Do you think we're seeing right now his like ceiling for this year, which is like a 7-game point streak, right? Or is he just going to keep going up and keep getting better as the season goes on?
No, I mean, he's definitely going to keep improving. He's not going to decline. He's either going to plateau or improve. We're going to see significant improvement once he puts on a little bit of mass.
Are you saying right now, Nathan, that from now till the rest of the season, Lane Hutson will be a point per game player?
Yeah, Lane Hutson will be a point per game player.
You remember when I told you at the beginning of the season that Lane Hutson would have 60 points? And you said, I don't know about that. You remember that?
I do.
You're calling right now for Lane Hutson to have almost 70.
Yeah. He'll be 60 plus for sure.
I agree. I don't see a world in which he doesn't. Like to me, the number of times the team has just played stupid around him. Like I think there's one play in the Nashville game, I think, where he, as the only as like one of the defenders on the ice, was behind the Nashville net and was there for like 2 seconds with the puck, stick handling, looking to who to pass to. And all of the Montreal players, like one of them is definitely in their head going, wait, aren't I supposed to be the guy behind the net? Because, like I'm a forward and like he's behind the net. Like where am I supposed to do? And then the rest of the players are kind of moving around like, where do we go? Where does he want us to go? When they figure that out, you're going to see 2-3 assist games from him. And then when that starts, they're going to start to come off of him a little bit. And then you're going to see the goals come. That's my prediction.
I agree. I think that's a very, very solid guess. Yeah, I don't have any type of counter to that statement right there.
You don't have to necessarily counter. You just got to tell me
you could see
that Lane Hutson is the Lord, God, and Savior that has come down from the heavens to bless the Montreal Canadiens with good play.
With 3 assists tomorrow night against the Pittsburgh Penguins. You heard it here first.
I can't wait. To see him deke around Sidney Crosby again. Or like Evgeny Malkin again.
Yeah. The old guys don't got it anymore. They don't have that gazelle in them like they used to.
Yeah, unless you're Alex Ovechkin, who breaks his leg and 16 days later is skating on it.
It's nuts. He's got some kind of Russian serum he put in his leg, I'm convinced. He flew back to Moscow.
Could you imagine?
It's probably some like stem cells on crack. That's what it is. This bone's is brand new.
That'd be really funny. That would be really funny. I don't think that's the case, but it would be really funny.
What were you gonna say?
Yeah. I had no idea. I had a thought. It went away on a train, probably to Manitoba.
Yeah. Because that's where we will be in May.
Why don't we drive there? Look, who else in the standings have been like... Okay, so Utah started out hot, right? They're actually coming back up a little bit. They're 5-3-2 in their last 10, but not in a playoff spot right now. Calgary started hot. They're not in a playoff spot anymore either. Are there any other teams that have really surprised you as to how good or bad they've played? You want to talk about Detroit a little bit?
I mean, I was kind of expecting this out of Detroit. I wasn't expecting them to be some super team or even pushing for the playoffs, really. I mean...
Because they were close last year, right? They were like 2 points out.
They were close last year, but did they make any big acquisitions over the... I don't think their team looks the exact same.
Yeah, well, yeah, and they don't have goaltending.
Exactly.
I mean, who's supposed to... Alex Leon is supposed to start.
Yeah.
Lion, that's what it is, not Leon.
Leon.
Yeah, you're going. It's spelled the same, is it not?
It is spelled the same.
So it's Leon. Okay, he just doesn't know how to say his own name. That's fine. And then the backup right now is the guy I have on my fantasy team, Cam Talbot.
I was gonna say Reimer. Where is Reimer?
I don't know.
Okay.
Isn't he in Buffalo now?
Yes, he is. He is on Buffalo. That's right.
Uh-huh.
So honestly, Detroit.
Sorry, but what I was gonna say was Lyon and Talbot are both injured right now. Talbot is coming back on tomorrow, whatever day tomorrow is, Thursday. But they had Ville Husso coming in, which, as a side note, if you remember, right now in Detroit, Jack Campbell is in that system in the minors. How bad do you have to be as a goaltender to have like significant NHL experience, be on a $5.5 million per season contract, and not even be the third goaltender on the team?
What is he doing in the minors? Is he just also shitting the bed there?
I don't even know. Can you look this up for me? What's Jack Campbell up to right now?
Take a look, real.
Yeah, because look, I never agreed with the Edmonton Oilers signing that contract to begin with. It was a very stupid contract because there was not a single time in Toronto that people thought he was good. So,
Yeah. He's playing for the Grand River Rapids, or Grand Rapids Griffins. Said Grand River Rapids. That's in London. He has, let me see. Bro, he's the third string goalie on this team.
Actually,
he's played 2 games this season, and he has a 2.55.
that's not bad.
Goal against.
Although you'd want a lot more.
And he's lost both the games that he's played. My goodness, Jack Campbell.
The rise and fall of NHL goaltenders.
Unbelievable. That's humiliating. But
to any parents out there, don't send your kids to university. Either turn them into right shot defensemen or goaltenders. We don't have enough of either.
Yeah, that's it. I think we wrap up the podcast on that.
You think so? Have you been? Did you see the PWHL results from this week?
No, I saw the Toronto girl got her first goal. Maltis, something.
I don't know who you're talking about. I don't follow the teams. All I know is they lost 6-3 to the Frost, which I've decided now 100% the Frost are my second favorite team. Montreal obviously being first because Mary Philippe. No, Montreal won last Friday, so we are 2-1 now, and that's good for fourth. Sorry. We're one. No, yeah. We're sorry. We're 1-1-1. I forgot because the PWHL does the good point system where it's 3 points for a win, 2 points for a win in overtime, 1 point for a loss in overtime, 0 points for a loss in regulation, which is the correct way of doing points.
Is the NHL ever going to do that? Maybe, no, but not anytime soon.
Well, on this note, I heard a really good argument as to why the NHL wouldn't want to, and the reason is not to do anything with actually how point systems work, but that they want fan bases to believe that their team is closer to the playoffs than they actually are. And so if wins were 3 points, then the teams that were doing better would have such big gaps in the standings, just from a number perspective, that the NHL doesn't believe that we as fans would be able to figure out that we still have a good shot at making the playoffs, just because, instead of being 5 points out, we're now 8 points out.
So, okay, I understand that a little bit, but
it's all about perception, right? But it's like,
yeah, it'd just be a bit of a learning curve, and they don't want to have that.
Well, I think they also think that some people just don't know how to do math, and so then would go, my team is 12 points out of the playoffs. That's a lot of points. I'm not going to go to the game, and then they won't buy the ticket.
I don't think that's necessarily true. I think the actual hockey fans would know about that and realize, we actually need to win 4 games in regulation. There you go.
Yeah, you'd think that the 12-3 is easy math, but I don't know. We're talking about a whole country for the most part that elected a guy who thinks that Canada as a 51st state would be an idea. So I don't know. I can't say much. Maybe 4-3 or 12-3 is a hard math.
It's difficult. It's very difficult.
Just to slightly roast the United States as Canadians. But don't worry, guys. Come to Canada. We're super nice.
Nice. We got some good coffee, got some good donuts. Go to Tim Hortons.
Yeah, you can come play some stick and puck with us, bud?
On the pond. Cracks and brews. You know how it is.
Yeah, bud.
Fucking right, bud. All right, is that... Okay, I'm looking at... They do the standing so weird on the PWHL website.
I don't know what you mean by weird. There's 6 teams. It can't be that hard.
No. But okay, so like the New York Sirens have 5 points. Then it says 2 wins, 1 overtime win, 1 loss. But if you just do the math in your head, you're just going to do...
No. They have 1 win, 1 overtime win, 1 loss.
That's not what it says on the PWHL website. On the PWHL website.
I'm on the PWHL website.
Yeah, it's saying the New York Sirens have 2 wins, 1 overtime win. But it's counting the overtime win as a win as well, which makes the math all weird. Do you see?
I don't see anywhere on here where it says they have 2 wins.
Okay, I'll send you a photo after, but it's weird.
And I've looked this up on multiple devices too.
I'll send you a photo afterwards. But that's why I was confused for a minute there. But yeah, it makes sense. 3, 2, 1, 0.
3 games.
No, 3 like points. 3
they
points
have
per win.
5 points.
Yeah.
Yeah. I understand what you're saying.
Yeah. What other things did you see in the NHL this week, though?
I had things written down. What else did I run? Speaking, we talked about the Chicago Blackhawks. Did you know that just because you're a rebuilding team and you were last in the NHL last year, or second last in the NHL last year, and last in the NHL the year before that you as a head coach can still get fired for being second last in the NHL this year?
And get replaced by a Swedish man, the first ever Swedish head coach in the NHL. But yeah.
But look, like Luke Richardson, who, by the way, we love, former Montreal Canadiens assistant coach. There is not a single player I have ever heard talk about Luke Richardson and say bad things. Like, this is a guy, very, very stand-up guy. I always saw this coming, because when Luke Richardson took over head coaching for Dominic Ducharme in those few weeks that Dominic Ducharme was on sick leave or something, I think he had COVID or something, Luke Richardson was put in as the head coach of the Montreal Canadiens on an interim basis. And he did some very questionable things that I very much disagreed with, very similar to what Marty St. Louis does sometimes. And so I was like, this guy's not going to make it as a head coach because, he just has bad ideas. Clearly, he also has bad ideas because he's been shuffling Connor Bedard around like he's a playing card in a deck of cards with the rest of his players. That's one of the reasons Connor Bedard hasn't had the best season in NHL history or whatever people expect from him this year.
He hasn't done much of anything, to be honest. But yeah.
But like you say that, but like the guy's is like a point per game player.
Still?
Connor?
Really? I've been looking at like... I don't think he's a point per game player right now.
You don't think so?
I've been looking at the recent scores and I haven't seen much of him on anything.
Man, I'm telling you, he's got not point per game. 21 points, 28 games. So yeah, maybe not a point per game player. Basically as good as Lane Hutson, right? But when you consider the fact that Lane Hutson was drafted first overall, like comparing the two, like that.
Connor Bedard was drafted first overall.
Sorry, for all of the NHL fans out there who want to hate on Juraj Slafkovský, just remember that because history is written by the victors, right? We are now going to be saying that Juraj Slafkovský was our second overall pick and Lane Hutson was our first overall pick, which therefore shows why they're playing how they're playing. Anyways, I saw that this was a thing going on online. A lot of people are posting this. I keep seeing it on Twitter, man. Like people posting, don't worry guys, Lane Hutson was first overall. Slafkovský was the 62nd pick. Because if you switch the two, you go, oh, yeah, no, it's totally fine that Slav is playing like this. Totally expected that Lane Hutson would be playing like this.
Slav will do fine. You just let him settle in. Give him his time.
Before we close out the podcast, I wanted to ask you about this. Slav, there's been like a really big push on Slafkovský to play a more physical game. Do you think in general that's like taken away from his play just in general? Like, where is he? Why isn't he doing the stuff he was doing last year?
So why isn't he playing more physically?
No, because he is playing more physically, but he's not putting up points. He's got 2 goals, like 13 assists or something like that within 28 games. Like the end of last season, he was almost a point per game player for the last 30 games.
Right? I mean, he had a solidified spot in the lineup last season. He was in the same line mates every game. It still hasn't happened yet, really, this season. And now Laine comes back, and now we're seeing him starting to get into the swing of things. That's it. This next week or two, he'll be back in motion. We'll talk about it. He's fine. He just needs to be on a line that he's comfortable with. It's been changing too much.
Fair enough. I like the answer. With that, we'll wrap it up, eh?
Sounds good. So yeah, Penguins, Jets, Sabres. That's the next slate of games that we'll bring to you next week. All right, everyone. Thank you for watching the Frozen Forum podcast. We really appreciate all of you that have made it to this point in the episode. Once again, if you're watching this on YouTube, make sure that you like, comment, subscribe, hit that bell notification so that you get notified when we post our videos and our shorts. If you're on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Podcasts, make sure that you subscribe to the podcast on there and rate us with those 5 stars. That helps us get pushed out into the algorithm so that we can grow the podcast. And make sure that you follow us on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, Facebook. I think that is everything.
Yes, and YouTube.
Yeah, plus YouTube. And yeah, that's all of our platforms. We will catch you guys next week, where we will be recording episode 18. Ridiculous. It seems like we just started this thing, but yeah, we're almost halfway into the season. It's a few more weeks, but
we're a third of the way through the season officially, so
yeah, third of the way through the season. Pretty crazy. It's looking good, Habs fans. We'll see what happens next week. Hopefully we talk about 3 wins.
3 and 3 and
3 and no. We'll catch you next week, guys. Au revoir et bonsoir.